And so I think this book is like personal therapy every single chapter. I'm like, this is me. Um, what's interesting is that I would guess that the field thinks when you hit jewel or diamond status for sure, you have this many people on your team, or you lead this many high level, jewels as well, that you don't struggle with these things, because how could you be where you are if you don't struggle, or if you struggled with these? And I think it's by God's grace, because the more I read through each one of these chapters, the more I realize, like, this is what actually has me stuck right now. The reason I wasn't stuck the first way through is because I almost didn't know enough to be stuck. I almost wasn't aware enough of what I was doing, and what God was doing in my business to be fearful. It's almost like now our teams can see the end of the rainbow, and they kind of know what that looks like. And so that can be more terrifying, where the end was so far away from my thought process in the beginning. All I knew, Roz was one step ahead of me. So Roz went gold, I went gold the next month. Roz went senior gold, I went senior gold the next month. And so for me, that's as far as I saw, was whatever the next rank was. Celeste was so far in a different dimension for me, and she didn't do trainings. And I mean, we slowly became friends, but her world is still so different from mine. She makes 5 times what I make on a monthly basis. Pretty much direct math. She makes 5 times what I make. So hers is still so elevated, and that it's almost like a different sphere. And she doesn't still train my team. She's still not in my day-to-day work stuff. So it almost seems like she does something totally different. And so I think for our team, y'all see all of these diamonds, all of these jewels, tons of people ranked just ahead of you. And I think it can feel so defeating, because you're like, here I am at silver, hi Erin, silver almost gold, or gold almost senior gold, and there's 1,000 people ahead of you doing what feels seemingly impossible. And so just, it's such an interesting mind shift. And what I've tried to do, and I tried to do a video, I think last week on it, was don't look at diamond me. Like, let me show you what gold me looked like. Let me show you what silver leader looked like. And I think back, I was going through the beginning of 2014, which seems so long ago now, but I was going through the beginning of 2014 on our team page, and how bad our graphics were, how we never welcomed anybody with a picture. So we never knew what anybody looked like. We just did what we knew. We did what we came up with. We bombed, I'm sure, a lot of things. We onboarded everybody every single day, because every person every day was practically new. Even if they'd been in for 2 months at one point, they still felt new. Hi, Mama Line. So I think our beginning of our business was still like, I don't know, you don't know. I mean, honestly, if the 5 of us were starting a business right now, or if I signed up and the 4 of you joined me right now, I can tell you what it would have looked like. It would have been rough. And Vicki was there in the beginning, very beginning. So she remembers like what our team pages looked like. Like, it was constantly just the stuff I still tell everyone to do, but I don't do because my team doesn't look like that anymore. And it's hard to do what I say, not as I do, because what I do is so wide, and what I want to do, and what I wish y'all would do, and what I try to do on the 1 through 3 page is really bring it down small. Because if you are gold or senior gold, everybody on your team is right behind you. Like, so you're not trying to train people that are better than you or more skilled than you. I will promise you, I spend every day on my team page with, well, this person knows more than I do about just about everything. This person actually does what I say much better than I do. And so it's a balancing act now. Where you are may not be as much of a balancing act. So all that to say, that's why I feel like when I went so fast to Jewel, is because I wasn't fearful enough of the next step, which is a good thing. It almost like God, I relate it to back when Ella was little, when she was first born. We had no idea what the next step looked like. And God didn't even give us a vision for what it might look like. And even now people will say, do you think she'll walk? Do you think she'll talk? How functional do you think she'll be as an adult? And God has so blinded us to what that could look like because as soon as he gives us just a peek of what it might look like, the fear sets in, and almost the paralyzing fear of, oh, I'm going to cry. If this doesn't look like what I want it to look like, then I can't go another step. I can't do the next thing. So in relation to our businesses, if being Ruby is terrifying for me, then I'm not going to go senior gold because that prevents me from going Ruby. I'm not going to go to that. I want to go to that next step. I want to see Ella as an adult. But if I do, then that scary spot will happen. And I never saw that. With Ella, God has still been gracious to us that we don't see the next step. And I think with my business in the beginning, he was so gracious to not say, well, if you get Diamond, just so you know, you might be speaking on stage. Because had I known that, had I even thought that far ahead, I would have probably backed off big. And so I just think this book is so interesting to go, here's what your fear is, like almost bringing your fear to a spotlight, and then going, now how are you going to defeat this? How are you going to crush this and bring up a new truth in your brain so that this isn't what rules and this is? Mind-blowing, terrifying, all of the things. So let's get through. And if you have something highlighted and you would love to share it, so funny, I just got a text message from Celeste, and all it says is, hope you have a blessed week, love you. It's so great to have leaders that pour into you, even when they're on a totally different sphere than you are. I literally feel like my blessed week and her blessed week are going to look really different, but it's just to still be able to lovingly pour into people in your team is so important. Okay, everyone's obviously having audio problems, which is why we are doubling up on images here. So if you want to kind of say, this is what spoke to me, this is what highlighted, please tell me, because my highlights are definitely by no means the only important things in this chapter. It's just what spoke to me. So here are some things that I highlighted. All the thoughts, all of the pictures in our minds are always tied to something else that we already know about. If you're given a new thought or a new picture, one you have never thought about or imagined before, your brain will immediately find something else in your mind to tie the new information to give it a sense to help you understand. Is that not exactly what I just did with comparing my Plexus journey to my journey with Ella? I'm just laughing because I was like, oh, I just did that. I do that. I am the person that when I meet people, I try to find out as much as I can about them, and then I try to connect people to that. Oh, do you know so-and-so? Oh, if you went to school here, were you in this sorority? Because if you were, you might know this friend of mine. A girlfriend of mine calls it the name game. I always play it because I'm always trying to make connections to things. And I love that Dallas can feel like a small world. I love that Plexus can feel like a small world, and the fact that somebody always knows somebody that you know through a different world. And a lady in my neighborhood that I was talking to knows Aaron Carey, knows the Mangos, knows Rainey Anderson, knows all these different Plexus people that are different parts of my life and not all the same parts. So I always think it's so interesting. In that same fraction of a second, based on the information already stored in your mental files, your brain will send you an instant message telling you how you feel about this new thought, where it should be filed, and whether you should accept or believe it, keep it or use it, disprove it, disbelieve it, and throw it out. Y'all, this is how I think people view our Plexus business. The second they see our post, they immediately decide whether they're interested or not interested. For you, and a lot of my skeptics will say this, they were a little interested but not so sure. Becky Page will literally say, so I asked you about Probiotic 5, but I didn't really want to know. I asked you about something, but I really didn't want to buy it. I just wanted you to tell me the answers to it. So she'll literally, and you'll visually watch her kind of peek in and peek out whenever she talks about Plexus in the beginning for her, because she was like, I'm a little interested, but I'm weary to be interested. She knew enough about probiotics to be interested. She knew enough about health supplements to be interested. She knew enough about MLMs to be weary. She also knew me well enough to probably be weary. So it was kind of a give and take. And so a lot of times for us and for our prospects, we're like, I'm interested, but there's something in the back of my head saying either this is real or this is unreal, and I don't know how to balance those two things. This is what I wrote in the margins. There's a reason that you decided to do this book study. There was something, either it was Jen Wolf's video, which was kind of the kicker for me, whether it was being told over and over that you need to be doing self-development, whether this is something you've already wanted to do and you just needed someone to facilitate with you. There was something about this book study that your brain was like, yes, I kind of want to do that. And then you decided to make that switch into actually doing it. So the longer you have bought the thought, the truer it is. So I just think like whether it is that probiotics are important. So we never took probiotics until Ella was born, and we were told to take probiotics. We're like, yeah, okay. We kind of would dabble in them. More doctors would tell us the more sick she got, the more we needed to be in them. We bought, tons of different ones, but with really no buy-in, no true belief that they would work. And I think we were waiting on this miracle to happen, like the probiotic would heal her. Doesn't quite work that way. But when we had enough of an isolated problem that a probiotic could really tackle, like urinary tract infections for Ella, then our whole world shifted. The second that, I'm not kidding y'all, the day she started Probio 5 and BioCleanse, and she pooped within 24 hours, we're like, done, we'll never be off this product. Like, we don't know if it's a mistake. We don't know if it just happened that she has a stomach bug. I don't care. This product has made her go to the bathroom, and we will share this with the world. So the second it became true for us, the second it was like, how could you not take this for your children? Like, it was like almost like we went from the people that were like, probiotics are good, I'm sure, for somebody, but they're not really working in our case, to everybody has to be on a probiotic and they have to be on this one, and I'm a jerk if I don't tell all my friends it exists. So it's just funny how in the flat, in an instant, and we all know somebody that has that story that's like, the second that this flipped over, I could not share this with everybody. If you know Kelsey Stokes at all and you know her story, like if I didn't already have a story, I would latch myself onto that story and tell everybody in the world. Like, it's just different stories on different products in our business that I think I can tell you somebody else's story on every product because they've done one thing that just flipped a switch for them and their body just functioned better. And speaking of that, I was in the pool in Maui with Melissa and Nathan Darby. Nathan has diabetes. He's on a pump. He used to have a diabetes dog because they have some new technology that'll attach to his body. It's actually better than the dog. It's more immediate kind of a thing. And they're keeping the dog. They just turned it into a family dog. But he said, Block has changed my life. He goes, I take Slim every day. I don't miss a day. But Block will, my A1C will rise and fall. My sugars, I don't know what the difference is, but his insulin numbers will rise and fall based on Block. And he has got it down to a science. He says it's about 25%, and he can manage his sugars better on Block. And when he said that, I was like, we always think Slim for diabetics. I very rarely say Block for diabetics. I just don't think about it. The second that he put that in my head, because I didn't really have a pre-existing notion on Block, that is my Block story. That is the current story. And so I think with Plexus, so many times someone else tells us their story in the beginning, a negative story, and we kind of always have that kind of running through our head. When people told me negative stories, I was like, I'm sorry, I already have a positive message running through there on Plexus. You can't alter that because that positive message with Ella was so strong. Now that message with Block is so strong that someone can't tell me Block doesn't work, because I know someone with an insulin monitor on them whose life has changed because of Block. So I think sometimes just listening enough that we hear a good, positive, strong message that outdoes those kind of like wonky negative messages. So as a meanwhile, we keep ourselves busily, blissfully ignorant of something about us that could have made a difference in our lives, something about ourselves called the truth. Then he goes into this wall of self-talk. And I'm going to be honest, y'all, I did not want to read through all of these because I was like, these are all going to be like just almost solidifying negative messages that I have in my head. So I didn't read through the list until we got to the end. And it says, that's exactly what we do to our brains. No wonder things go wrong. No wonder things don't work out right. If your mental computer, the one that flies the plane, is programmed with wrong directions, you could possibly be as successful as you would. You cannot possibly be as successful as you would like to be. You cannot get where you want to go. So I decided to go back and pick up on a few of these messages that people tell themselves about Plexus before they even get in. And so how many times have we heard the phrase, if I only had more money? I always phrase up in front of groups. I can't talk in front of people. There's just no way. That's impossible. I'm just not a salesperson. Nothing seems to go right for me. Everything I touch seems to turn to bleep. Someone always beats me to it. Oh, why should I try? It's not going to work anyways. Like, these are all things that people tell them is the reason they're not going to get into Plexus. So what if we do a post about that? What if we say, here are some things that people tell themselves. Like, it's scientific. Here are things that people tell themselves. What if you change that message? What if you told yourself that it was possible? What if you told yourself and believed for even a moment that you really could succeed at this? What if, and we always say, what if this could change everything? And I seriously think, what if it could change everything about this list? What if, and I look back and I go, oh, well, my thought process going into this was, I'm never going to succeed at network marketing. I've already failed twice. I'm never going to succeed. And so God re-altered my brain and said, I'm not giving you network marketing. I'm giving you a chance to give probiotics to people. I'm not asking you to build a team. I'm not asking you to go diamond. I'm not asking you to, financially, be the breadwinner for your family in 3 years. Look where we are. But right now, I'm just asking you to get probiotics in people's hands, like small bites. So what if it is, I just want you to find 3 people to share these products with. I don't want you to go gold. You don't have to go senior gold right now. What if let's just do small bites. And so I think sometimes when we go small bites, it's so much more manageable. And so then I get to the last page and it says, no matter what I do, I just can't seem to make enough money or to make ends meet, which we have so many people like this. Our subconscious mind says, okay, I'll do what you're telling me to do. I'll make sure you can't make ends meet. In turn, we will unleash its powerful control over our mental and physical self to achieve the results it was told to accomplish. But what if every day we say, I'm going to make $2,000 this month. I'm going to make $2,000 next month. Like, I need to, I have to, and nothing is going to stop me, including my mental. And I'm not going to, as soon as those things come up, if you had a child that was saying, I'm not creative, wouldn't you stop them and say, I'm not going to let you say that about yourself anymore. I'm not going to let you say, I'm not very good at football. I'm not as smart as, you're my brother. Oh, in our house, it's always, John's handwriting is so good. Like, my handwriting will never look like that, William says. And it's like, baby, your cursive is so beautiful. So write in cursive. Like, don't focus on the thing you're not good at. Focus on the thing you're great at. And, when he gets done with the football game, we talk about all the things they did great in that football game. Joe never sits there and says, buddy, you really could have grabbed that flag. I wish, oh my gosh, you got 3 flags today. That's impressive. The same things that we would do with our children or our grandchildren that we would not let them do, let's not let us do to ourselves. Like, we very rarely will stop ourselves and say, okay, Andrea, don't talk like that. That's not nice. That's not good for you. Let's change our thoughts. But this book is actually making us stop and go, oh, I actually probably need to change my thoughts on that. I was thinking today, I don't feel very well. I was sick yesterday and all night. And I kept thinking, is that mental? Like, it's so funny. We get to this book and I'm like, I mentally told myself that I don't feel good. So now I don't feel good. It's just so funny how all of a sudden, like, now every thought that crosses through my head, I'm like, is that a positive thought? Am I giving myself bad, like what some movies like Bad Juju or something, where it's really just like, am I telling myself stuff negatively enough that if I was talking to my boys, I'd be telling them, you're letting Satan win. You're letting Satan get in and creep in and tell you negative things about yourself that are not true. It's not how God created you. Will is our tall child. He's 9. He's 5'2". His feet are bigger than mine. His hands are bigger than mine. And he's 9. And we've told him his whole life how tall he is. We've told him, how much taller he is than everybody else. This is identity that he has established about himself. And now we have to almost break that down. We have to stop talking about how much taller he is than everybody else, because that has become his identity. That's become who he is. Even when he was younger, like 6 and 7, he was so gangly because he was so tall and so he truly was uncoordinated. He had no idea how to coordinate his arms and his legs with his body. It was just kind of all over the place. And I look back at the things that we said to him or around him or about him while he was, within earshot, which the child is always seems to be in earshot. And instead of making those things positive, we were always kind of making fun of them. We have a running joke when he was little that he was like a giraffe on roller skates, like just kind of arms, like everything kind of going all over the place. And it's an adorable mental image until you're the 7 or 8-year-old that has this image of themselves. And so now we're so intentional about going, Will, you've done such a great job. Like your hands are so big, you can bat down any football. Your feet are so big, you can plant yourself anywhere. Aaron, go. You can plant yourself anywhere on the field. Making those things that could be so, negative and that we kind of could make fun of and pulling out positives about them that he can really be proud of, his big hands or his big feet or his long body. And so last part. A typical example of this is our own self-accepted beliefs about our personal financial capabilities or limitations. Unless we change the programs we have told ourselves, the ones that told us we cannot seem to earn enough money, our subconscious will successfully establish or accomplish its programmed task of keeping us earning less than we would like. Had we given it the right programming, the same subconscious mind, instead of keeping us poor or of average means, would just as gladly have made us rich in every way. I just feel like that's such a, okay, God, I get it. Like my allowance of negative thoughts in my head is keeping you from being able to do what you want to do because I'm allowing these roadblocks. And so today I would challenge you to post about that, something that maybe you thought about Plexus or you thought about yourself before, and what your positive thought about it is now. And it could be as simple as mine, where probiotics are great for everybody else. They just don't work for us until they do. Or I don't think people make money with network marketing, and yet I made $500 last month. I'm looking at Kristen. I'm going to Disney this year for Leaders Retreat. I'm going to Orlando. I am a leader in this company. I can't believe I actually hit that. Sandra, you are growing a team exactly at a pace that is comfortable for you. So although you would love to just have this blow up momentum, I think it would overwhelm you. And I think that you are in a great, healthy place for you. And Vicki, even though I can't see your face, you have made huge strides. And I would say, here's my favorite thing about Vicki Line is the fact that there isn't a woman on this team that doesn't say, I found a friend in Vicki. I mean, we were just talking about the other day, I was just telling Rachel, her daughter, the other day, like my mom, all these different women that are kind of in the same like generational area have latched. Vicki is their person. And I was telling someone the other day, she's our team's Danielle Cornelius, which if you don't know her, she is probably one of the older Jules, and she kind of like has touted that about herself. But Vicki has taken that generational group of our team and just loved on them. And so there's a couple of different people just recently that have been like, oh, well, I know Vicki really well. Or, I talked to Vicki and I'm like, that's our person. That's the person that if I can't connect to them, or, Becky and Rachel can't connect to them, or Ellen or whoever, that they feel connected to Vicki. And I think that's such a huge, to be that person for a team is so great, and all kinds of sidelines. So take something that is valuable to your business that you probably never thought you would be, 6 months or 6 years ago in Plexus, and then post about that, because I think it's important for people to see, something I would have said, but she's saying that there's a flip side to that, and I think I'd like to be a part of that flip side. So that's your challenge today. Talk about what you would have said before Plexus and what you would say now that's different. And I cannot wait to see them. So feel free to copy them in the comment section. I'll upload this to YouTube and put it on the 1 through 3 page. And then I cannot wait to see what y'all say. I hope y'all are enjoying the study, and I will talk to y'all later.
Thanks, Andrea.
Absolutely.